I'm Hilary Hahn,
I'm Missy Mazzoli.
and I'm doing an interview with Missy for Sequenza21, and this is my first interview ever for Sequenza21, so I'm a little nervous, but here goes. So what would you say your music is like for the average listener?
You started with the hardest question. The older I get, the harder I have, the harder time I have answering that question. Mm-hmm. But I always say it's new music for old instruments, or I describe it as indie classical, which is an imperfect label, but it's really the closest thing that I have to describe what I do. I mean, I'm trained as a composer. I'm trained classically. I love classical music. I grew up worshiping classical music, but you say classical and people have kind of they don't get the right idea about the kind of music that I do, which is just as much influenced by indie rock and electronica and all the other things that are going on. So,
do you feel like the labels of music influence how you write in any way? Like your music being called a certain thing, does that make you want to write something different than what it's called, or write something like what it's called?
It makes me want to write something different. I mean, I think most composers shy away from labels, and labels make them very uncomfortable. And so when I'm writing, I'm always trying to find something that's kind of in the cracks, which is a problem when it comes to publicity or being interviewed, because it's very hard to describe. But I think that's the kind of music that makes me happy, is things that can't be described in a sentence or two sentences.
And how do your pieces begin? What's your creative process?
I always start with harmony. I always imagine kind of the big moment of the piece first. I never ever start a piece at the beginning and then right to the end. I kind of wish I could do that, because then that would make my life easier, and I'd have an idea of like where I was in the piece as I'm writing it. Right now, I just kind of write the big climactic moment and then go back in and figure out how to get there, and then where to go from there. But it always starts with big chords somewhere in the middle.